Hi, welcome to Prime Recap. When all the dogs in his town are expelled and condemned to live on an isolated island covered in garbage, a 12-year-old boy risks his life to try to save his best friend. Today we will recap the story of the 2018 movie, Isle of Dogs. 1,000 years ago, dogs roamed freely around the planet, marking their territory. Until the moment when the Kobayashi dynasty, known to be composed of cat lovers, declared war against dogs. However, when the canine population was about to be annihilated, a young warrior, moved by this injustice, betrayed his own kind and tore off the head of the Kobayashi clan leader. With the end of that bloody war, the four-legged beasts became domestic dogs and accepted their submission to humans. These animals, despite often being despised, survived and multiplied. However, the Kobayashi never forgot their mission to exterminate them. In Japan, Mayor Kobayashi issues a statement to the population. He states that dog saturation has reached epidemic proportions. An outbreak of snout fever spreads through the city of Megasaki. Millions of infected fleas, worms and ticks threaten the citizens. Dog flu threatens to transcend species and become a human disease. Faced with this situation, the mayor issues an emergency order, demanding a quarantine, which boils down to the containment and expulsion of all breeds of dogs, both street dogs and domesticated dogs. By official decree, Garbage Island becomes an exile colony for all dogs in Uni Prefecture. However, the Science Party candidate, Professor Watanabe, is against this cruelty. He says it is unfair to do this to dogs, especially since for the last 1,000 years these animals have given their loyalty to humans, serving and protecting their masters. The scientist then asks the population to give him 6 months and guarantees that at the end of this period a serum capable of curing canine flu will be ready. At the end of his speech, the man is attacked by most of the listeners, who call for the immediate approval of Mayor Kobayashi's proposal. As a gesture of public solidarity, the mayor asks his assistant, Major Domo, to turn over the Kobayashi family's personal bodyguard dog to the Canine Desaturation Committee. In this way, Spots becomes the first dog to be officially deported from the city. Still locked in his cage, the animal is transported and dumped on Garbage Island. 6 months have passed since the day humans committed this barbarity, and nomadic packs of sick and hungry dogs have been roaming through the garbage in search of leftover food. This completely unhealthy lifestyle has contributed to further aggravating the symptoms of canine fever, causing these animals to become extremely aggressive. Two rival packs clash over a handful of garbage that has just been left on the island. During the fight, Chief rips off the ear of one of his opponents and gets to keep the rotten food. Of all the members of his group, he is the only one who was a street dog before he was sent to that hellish place. His friends can no longer stand living like that and are even thinking of taking their own lives. But Chief forbids them to do so and says that no one there will give up. In a pile of garbage, they spot Nutmeg and are impressed by the beauty of the dog, who manages to keep herself clean even though she lives in that filthy place. Minutes later, a small plane approaches the island and crashes after losing one of its wings. Curious to know what is happening, the dogs approach to investigate and find a young pilot passed out on the ground. When Rex opens his helmet, Atari wakes up and tells him that he is there to find his dog, Spots. The boy removes the broken piece that was piercing his helmet and finds that his skull has also been hit. After removing the piece, the boy faints again and wakes up only 24 hours later. Atari was taken by the dogs to a hiding place, but still has a fragment stuck in his head, because the animals believed that removing the object could make the boy's situation even worse. With the aid of a piece of wood, Atari walks with the dogs, hoping to find his lost friend. The pack guides the boy to a locked cage. Inside are Spot's remains, and the young boy is deeply saddened to discover the tragic end of his dog. In the town of Megasaki, the news reports announce the disappearance of Atari, the nephew and guardian of Mayor Kobayashi. The 12-year-old boy was last seen flying a small plane on the runway of the executive airport. 3 years earlier, Atari had been in a train accident and miraculously was the only survivor. The boy lost his right kidney and had several broken bones. With the death of his parents, his distant uncle decided to adopt him and ordered his employees to find a bodyguard dog to take care of the boy. Atari and Spots met when the young man was still in the hospital and soon became great friends. However, Major Domo did not like seeing the two bonding and claims that the dog is there to ensure the boy's safety and not to be his pet. At this time, an employee appears and puts communicators in his ears. Whenever Atari needs him, he can call Spots on the communicator, but communication is only possible over a maximum distance of 25 meters. With tears in his eyes, the boy takes a key from his pocket and opens the door to the cage where his friend's bones are. When Atari walks away, Boss decides to take the pendant from the dead dog's collar. Before he leaves, the boy buries Spots and enlists the dog's help to rebuild his plane to get away. Everyone is happy to help the boy, except Chief. The dog hates humans and has never agreed to obey them, not even before he was exiled. After months of intensive research, Professor Watanabe and his assistant Miss Yoko Ono have finally succeeded in finding a cure for canine influenza. Days after arriving on the island, Atari is ready to leave and ends up being detected by his uncle's employees. As the boy is taking off, Rex notices the pendant that Boss stole from the skeleton and realizes that they have made a mistake. The dog that was trapped in that cage was not named Spots, but Sport. The animal runs to tell Atari what happened, and the boy ends up having another accident when he makes an emergency landing. When he discovers that Spots might still be alive, the boy decides to join the pack to look for his friend, but everyone is surprised by the arrival of soldiers, who have been sent by the mayor. The men are there to rescue the boy, who attacks them with his slingshot and says he will not return with them. Seeing the young pilot being captured, the dogs decide to take action. Against his will, Chief is put in charge of fighting the robot dog, which was created by Kobayashi Robotics to replace the dogs that were exiled. Meanwhile, the rest of the group attacks the guards and manages to free Atari. After destroying the cameras, the boy takes the remote control and turns off the robot dog. Then they flee, and the vehicle that was sent to rescue Atari explodes after crashing on the island. That same day, the mayor is invited to give an interview on TV, where he states that his nephew was taken in by 5 infected dogs. These animals have already been identified and, after being captured, will be destroyed. Hidden under a mountain of garbage, Atari helps the dogs recover from the battle. Of all of them, Chief is the most injured, but the animal refuses to be cared for by a human. He comes out of hiding and goes to drink some water. Just then, Nutmeg appears and advises Chief not to do so, because that water is full of toxic substances. The dog is curious to know what that boy is doing on the island and is surprised to discover that he is there to find his dog. Before she was exiled, Nutmeg participated in stunt competitions and Chief asks if she can show him some of her tricks. After fulfilling the request, the dog leaves and asks Chief to help the boy find his friend. After his serum was rejected by the mayor, Professor Watanabe sharply criticized the policy adopted to combat canine flu and was sentenced to house arrest. During class, Tracy Walker, an exchange student, expresses her rebellion against Mayor Kobayashi. She claims that the man is corrupt and says she has a hunch. The girl believes that the government has deliberately implanted an irrational fear against dogs and omitted to develop a proven cure for canine influenza in order to exterminate these animals once and for all. Upon hearing Tracy's conspiracy theory, editor Hiroshi informs her that since she has no proof of what she is saying, she cannot publish this news. However, a boy in his class hears the whole conversation. He is very quiet and manages to go unnoticed by his classmates, but he believes in this very theory and is secretly working on a plan to save those animals. Accompanied by the 5 dogs, Atari begins his journey in search of Spots. They cross the middle fingers in single file, and after hours of travel, they realize they are being followed. Atari prepares to shoot, but is surprised by the arrival of 2 dogs. During the search of the island, the military finds a DNA sample from Atari, which was collected from an object in the boy's aviation equipment. This sample is used to provide information to the robot dogs, which start sniffing the boy's trail. Hiding in the small plane as Tracy Walker's classmate, the mysterious boy has already begun to put his plan into action. Meanwhile, in the town of Megasaki, Tracy and her colleagues make a live broadcast to ask the masters who have lost their dogs to unite to get them back. On Garbage Island, the small group is welcomed by Oracle and Jupiter. The mutt tells them that the animal they are looking for has appeared in the visions of Oracle, a dog who can interpret what she sees on TV. Jupiter states that if Spots is alive, he is likely to be living as a prisoner of the wild dogs that live in a portion of land that lies beyond the middle fingers. Duke tells that he has heard rumors that these wild dogs are cannibals, so they are in danger of being devoured if they go to their hideout. Following the orders of Mayor Kobayashi, a cook prepares the dinner that will be delivered to Professor Watanabe, who is serving his sentence under house arrest. At the end of the preparation, the chef puts poisoned wasabi on one of the octopus strips and delivers the package to Major Domo. As planned, Professor Watanabe devours his dinner and ends up ingesting the poisoned wasabi. The next morning, the news about the scientist's sudden death is spread over the news and the professor's assistant is distraught. Atari and the dogs are transported by cable car to reach their destination faster. However, they end up getting separated and the 4 dogs end up inside a garbage processor that, luckily, is not working as it should. Chief and the boy continue to be carried by the cable car, and an hour later they are dumped in a garbage can at an abandoned amusement park. While they are waiting for the other team members, Atari throws a stick and asks Chief to go and get it. At first, the dog ignores the boy's ardor, but later feels sorry for him and decides to please him. Now that they are closer, The boy is able to give the animal a bath and trim its shaggy hair. Cleaned and groomed, Chief realizes that he is very similar to Spots, except for the color of his snout. At that moment, Atari takes a cookie out of his pocket and gives half of it to Chief. That is Spot's favorite snack, and the boy saves the other half to give to his best friend when he finds him. As their companions have not yet arrived, the pair find a safe place to spend the night, and Atari realizes that he is approaching Spots as his communicator almost comes back on. The next morning, the pack finally meets again, and the dogs can barely recognize Chief. The dog asks his friends to jump off the cable car, but the vehicle ends up stopping above the river and the animals have nowhere to go. To make matters worse, several robot dogs approach the scene and the group is surrounded. Suddenly, Atari hears Spots barking through his communicator. When he was left on the island, Spots met Scrap. The dog tried to help him break free of his cage, but left after realizing that only a master key would be able to open the door. Before leaving him, Scrap warned Spots about the cannibalistic dogs, and he was surprised to find that in that place the dogs devoured each other. During the night, Spots' cage was taken away by a group of dogs led by Gondo. When they arrived at the hiding place, the members of that clan gathered around the cage, and Spots was convinced that this was the end for him. However, to his surprise, Gondo reveals that he has a master key and frees the dog. When asked about the rumors regarding cannibalism, the chief of that clan states that this is not true. The animal tells that they have only resorted to cannibalism on one occasion. Many months ago, out of a desperate instinct for survival, they had to devour the leader of their pack. Fuzzball was in a coma from starvation, so the dogs decided to take him out of that suffering and feed on his flesh. Otherwise, they all would have starved to death. It was on this day, after being released, that Spots met Peppermint. In order to do his duty and protect his beloved master, Spots appears and jumps in front of the robot dogs. The animal uses his teeth, which were implanted before he became Atari's bodyguard, to blow up those machines and calls his gang to attack them while he escapes with the boy. Chief and his friends accompany him and all jump into the river. As they are carried downstream, Spots reveals that he feels honored and very grateful to have been named Atari's watchdog, but now he has other responsibilities. The dog has become the leader of that tribe of rejects and is about to become a father. So he asks the boy to release him from his role. Upon hearing this, Chief is furious, for he knows all the challenges Atari has faced in finding him. In that instant, Spots recognizes that dog and claims that they are litter brothers. As Atari managed to escape once again, the security guards tell the press that the boy died in an accident. The mayor holds a funeral to say goodbye to his nephew, and this causes the population to rebel even more against the dogs. When Spots and the others arrive at the hideout, the dog tells them that before a tsunami destroyed that building, there were more than 250 animals imprisoned there serving as guinea pigs for experiments. Peppermint, his partner, was one of these dogs and is pregnant with her first litter. Just then, Gondo states that they have a visitor. The owl has just arrived from the metropolitan landfill and has news. The bird reveals that on re-election night Mayor Kobayashi intends to exterminate all the dogs on the island through poisoning. On that day, all the animals that inhabit Garbage Island will die. The only way to stop this, according to Jupiter, is if the dogs can go to Megasaki and appeal to their masters to stop the mayor. After receiving this message, Atari and the dogs begin preparations for the journey. They must build boats to leave the island and reach the city. After days of hard work, they finally get the mission underway. During the journey, Peppermint goes into labor and Spots asks his master to accept his brother as his new bodyguard dog. The boy gladly accepts Chief as his security guard, and the dog is happy to accept the mission of protecting Atari. In a desperate measure to stop the mayor from destroying Garbage Island, Tracy goes to see Miss Yoko Ono. The scientist still can't get over the death of Professor Watanabe, and Tracy asks for the woman's help in exposing the mayor. Yoko then gives the girl a sample of the serum they have developed to cure the canine flu and advises her to be careful. In his speech, in front of thousands of people, Mayor Kobayashi announces the total annihilation of dogs and presents his new replacement, the robot dog. When the election results are released, Tracy and other student activists break into the hall and reveal that the dog flu serum works. At this point, the mayor says that those students were sent by foreign groups with the aim of creating disorder. He decides to cancel Tracy's visa and says that she will be deported to her home country. The man then asks Major Domo to bring the red button to him. Just as Kobayashi is about to give the order for the total destruction of the island, Atari appears accompanied by hundreds of dogs. Chief is the first dog to test the serum and finds that the treatment takes effect immediately. The dog claims that, for the first time in months, all his senses are working perfectly. In his speech, Atari tells about what he has experienced during the past weeks in the company of the extremely kind animals that have helped him on his journey. The boy claims that those dogs that were abandoned as objects are the purest beings he has ever met. Upon hearing his nephew's speech, the mayor is enraged, but understands that all the hatred he feels for those animals is something totally unjustified. This being the case, the man admits that the dogs have suffered much injustice and cancels the destruction of Garbage Island. However, Major Domo is totally against this decision and triggers the robot dog to attack the mayor. To prevent anyone from being killed, Spots decides to enter the fray and uses one of his teeth to cause an explosion. As a result, the dog ends up seriously wounded and Atari has his skull pierced by another projectile. Major Domo runs to press the button, and the mayor tries to stop him. Still, the man manages to press the button, giving the order for the soldiers to attack. However, when the guards go to poison the dogs, they end up eliminating themselves, all thanks to Tracy's mysterious classmate. Atari and Spots are quickly rushed to the emergency room. The surgery to remove the objects from the boy's brain was successful, but his left kidney failed due to the stress of the operation. Therefore, Mayor Kobayashi decides to donate one of his kidneys to his nephew, since the boy lost his right kidney during a train accident some years before. After the transplant surgery, both recover in the hospital and Spots struggles to survive in the next room. According to the Uni Province bylaws, in the event of the death, disappearance, or prosecution for felony of a candidate serving in office, all powers and authorities assigned to him pass immediately to the next of kin or designated heir. In this case, Atari Kobayashi is the closest relative of the former mayor. As such, he becomes the new mayor of the city of Megasaki. In the following months, peace reigned again in Uni Province. Politicians accused of corruption were arrested and the serum cured every individual infected with the canine flu. Chief became the mayor's new bodyguard and began a relationship with Nutmeg. Spots was given a statue in his honor and retired, able to enjoy a comfortable life with his family. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.